a 19th century carpet. All of these have been recreated very close to original patterns. We move on now, as guests would have done, into the back drawing room. Now, in the back drawing room, the type of activity which would have taken place here is indicated by the type of furniture that you see. We have a lovely early 19th century Dublin square piano. We have a French lyre, an Irish harp, so very much music was an activity which would have taken place here. Perhaps one of the more intriguing pieces that we have here is known as a pole screen, and it's designed to protect a lady's face from the heat of the fire. Makeup in the 19th and late 18th century was very much wax-based, so if you sit too close to the fire, that would melt. Now here on the second floor we have smaller, more intimate family quarters. The first one of these is the boudoir. Now the boudoir is a room which really doesn't have an equivalent in a modern day house. This is a space separate from the master bedroom next door, which is devoted exclusively to the woman who would have lived here. In relation to the decoration in here, we have beautiful blue rose wallpaper, again a recreation, but in this instance we're lucky enough to have a fragment of the original here. This is from about 1825, and by comparison with the modern day version you can really see the accuracy of our craftsmen today. Now here on the top floor of the house, with no decorative plasterwork and no carpets on the floors, we have the rooms associated with the children. Now, the nursery is a lot more sparse than perhaps we would imagine, but it does contain some interesting pieces. Most notably, this baby walker here from the 18th century, which shows you how much things, if you like, don't change. Another interesting piece is a yo-yo here from the 19th century. Yo-yos came into Europe in France in the 18th century, but before that, believe it or not, had been weapons in China. Now, the nursery itself is to preserve, for the most part, of the children and the servants. The servants also would have spent a lot of time in the basement of the house, and perhaps that's where we can go next. Now the basement area here was a preserve of the servants, and as such it was a hive of activity. One of the servants, the housekeeper, actually lived down here, but the nerve centre, or the engine room of the house, was the kitchen. Here in the kitchen we are surrounded by pieces which might be described as country furniture, very ordinary and very functional to those who lived and worked here at the time, but today they almost have a design quality. They would not seem out of place in a modern day kitchen. And that is just one of the areas of interest here in number 29, which is of interest both to visitors from at home and abroad, to Irish people, and particularly to those from Dublin.
A beautiful piece of Georgian Dublin there. But now to sporting matters. John Brennan has the latest on this weekend's important fixtures.
It's a huge weekend for several Dublin teams as sport gets back to normal after the tempest of last Sunday. Croke Park is being rebuilt, so the Dublin footballers are off to Tullamore to take on Offaly in a match they simply must win to have any chance of qualifying for the National Football League semi-finals next spring. Dublin lost their opening game to Tyrone 2 weeks ago, so they must win on Sunday, and we caught up with manager Tommy Carr to see how he's approaching this test.
We've won game overs and we've been defeated in the first game, which is not a start that we wanted. But anything, as everybody knows, anything can happen in the National League, and it's a matter of picking up maybe 3, 4, 5 wins, and then you're back in the hunt again.
Also on Sunday, the Dublin senior hurling champions UCD tackled St Anne's of Wexford in the Leinster Club hurling semi-final. UCD have some of the best underage talent in the country. They're fast, they're fit, they're hoping for a dry day to take on the best Wexford has to offer.
We're feeling fairly confident. We're Dublin champions, you know. It was a tough championship to win. We've beaten St Mullins at Carlow. We know it's going to be a tough occasion.
In half an hour's time, Shelbourne bid to extend their advantage at the top of the Aircom League Premier Division when they take on Longford Town at Tolka Park. Earlier in the week we went along to talk to manager Dermot Keeley and watch him putting the lads through their paces.
The whole success here has been based on the team. I mean, obviously, different stages, different people come to the fore. At the moment, Richie Forden is the talk of the league. Well, I mean, we've got good players all over the park that you could expect to step up and get you goal from, you know, one of your centre-halves, the Pat fella maybe in the middle of the park, Richie Baker wide. We've got a lot of good players. They're all capable of chipping in. I don't think the onus on defending or scoring goals is not on one player. It's on the whole team.
Here's wishing the Reds the best of luck, and they'll need those 3 points because Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers will be hot on their tails over the weekend. And that's your sport from Dublin this week.
Dublin City is buzzing this week with plenty on offer on both stage and screen. Later, we'll give you a bluffer's guide to the city's entertainment listings. But first, we're going to take a sneaky look inside the rehearsal room here at the Peacock Theatre.
Take my hands. Go on, take my hands. You don't want to.
Team, the theatre and education company, are celebrating their 25th anniversary with a new production called Ways to Me in the Peacock Theatre. This production, written by Nicholas Kelly, opened earlier this week, and it has 2 different plays, one of which is called A Quiet Life.
Quiet Life is about a young man called Gary who finds himself in a situation where he has quite a few choices, but I'm not going to give too much away, you have to come and see it. My hopes are that in some way it will connect, even if there's just one thing in the production that somebody comes out from and has connected in some way.
Do you hear that? Come on, get out here, quick!
And that the young people will be able to understand and relate to the stories, which I hope are different, but, you know, similar in theme.
Ways to Me, which caters for younger audiences, runs until the 18th of November. Tickets cost just £3. OK, so now we have your daytime entertainment sorted. But what if you're a night owl? Well, Kelly Jones from the Stereophonics is playing a very special gig here in Vicar Street on Monday night. Alan Corr is waiting outside.